This is just going to be a quick whisper video that I'm recording on my phone. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded. I've been meaning to make new content. YouTube is currently getting on to me to produce new videos, or I won't be eligible for the partnership program anymore. So this is mostly about meeting that deadline. I'll see if I can get something more substantial out in the coming weeks. But I figured we'd just take a quick tour of my Dungeons & Dragons room. So yeah, let's take a look. We've found that having the room isolated sort of helps with the game immersion, so that's why we've got these tarps up over the doorways. We are currently playing Tomb of Annihilation, which is very jungle themed. It's set here on the tropical peninsula of Chult. So lots of cutting your way through dense jungle, going through ancient temples. It's a very sort of Indiana Jones-esque style of adventure. As you'll see, I've decorated the dungeon room accordingly. It's just through coincidence that this table really matches the current theme. This is the same table we use for all of our games. I've got lots of greenery and vines and things set up here and there. Put up some pictures related to the setting. Let's take a look at my setup here behind the board. I am the Dungeon Master. I am the DM for about 90% of our games. I tend to fall into the forever DM role. Occasionally, as a favor, they will run a session or two for me, but it's mostly just a favor so that I can play. They usually want me to be the DM. But yeah, Tomb of Annihilation. I'm doing a pretty homebrewed version of the game. I changed the plot around a lot. I've got some of the little setup here to show you guys. This box just has some chess pieces in it. We use Theater of Mind. We never quite got into the minis. It's just pretty expensive and time-consuming to buy all those minis and get them painted, so we tend to just use Theater of Mind, and so I've just got some simple pieces back here so that behind the board I can kind of keep track of who's standing where, and then if there's any confusion on their part, I can let them know because I'm keeping track. This is my inspiration dice. In Dungeons & Dragons, you roll a d20, which is a 20-sided dice, to do almost anything in the game. And then based on the outcome of that roll, along with any modifiers you have, it determines whether or not you succeeded in the thing you're trying to do. A DM can give out an inspiration point, which is usually a reward for good roleplay, good character immersion, just really immersing yourself in the game. You want to encourage that behavior. But I use a homebrewed version of inspiration. I tend to be very generous with it. This dice is special in that the 1, the 2, and the 3 have been replaced with an additional 18, 19, and 20. So there they are on one side, and there they are on the other. So if you get the inspiration dice, which is, I think the DM gives you an inspiration point as a reward, and then if you fail to roll, you can cash in inspiration to attempt again. So obviously your chances of success are much higher with this one, because the lowest numbers have been replaced with more high numbers. And if that's a representation of my nice side as a DM, I'd say this is a representation of my evil side. I call this my death timer. Not very creative, I know. But if the players are in what I call a real-time event, like a trap goes off or something, I'll sometimes just flip this over and then set it over here as I begin to play dramatic music to let them know that they've got until the timer runs out to solve the current puzzle. Like if they go into a dungeon and suddenly a door slams shut and I tell them gas starts to fill the room, poisonous gases coming in from vents. And then I set this down. They know they can't just pause time essentially and then talk amongst each other out of character to come up with some sort of plan. No, they gotta get on it quick. I think this is about a 4-minute timer. I don't know that I've timed it officially, but I think it was a little under 5 minutes the last time I used it. What else have we got here? So we got the book, we got the map. Port Nyanzaru is the only major city in the entirety of this campaign, so it's kind of interesting that a lot of its exploration, I found that trudging through the jungle did get a bit tedious, so I eventually, like later in the game, when the jungle had lost some of its charm, I let them buy a ship, and increased from the book's recommendation of how fast a ship could be and let it just travel like absurd distances very quickly around the coastline, so that it's sort of like fast travel. I mean, they can't, take it into the center of the jungle, obviously, but they can sail it around to the closest anchoring point and then move their way in. When I asked them what kind of ship they wanted, they asked for a junk, which is this baby right here. So I wanted to get a photo up of their ship. I got my little dice tray. Got some dice. I think these are actually for like a Call of Cthulhu game, but sometimes I use them as the DM. I think they're cool. Got some extra dice over here. Haha, you were fooled. You thought they were dice. It was a mimic. Got my initiative tracker here. It's a standing sword. I used to use little slips of paper, but then anytime, if I sneezed or anything, the little slips of paper that I would have lined up here would just go scattering. So this has been nice. I'll use the black marker for players. I'll just have them listed here with their armor rating right next to it to keep track of that, and I'll have the bad guys marked in red. I've got more little tabs off to the side somewhere in all of this mess. I've got this little side table where I keep some extra stuff. The game board has some recommendations for things like random encounters, stuff that's specific to Tomb of Annihilation. I'm using a pretty homebrewed game, so a lot of this is irrelevant to me. Some more decorations on the table. Themed coasters. Random vines hanging about from the light fixture. Let's see. More temple decor. Chests full of gold, because why not? This is kind of cool. We've got our little collection of player dice. When people are coming in, they can choose what dice they want to play with. We went with the little glass bottles, so that people can see what the dice sets were. So we found that superior to little bags or little wooden boxes, which is what we were using before. So these are pretty cool. We've got a couple of them. I'll have to turn the light off to show you what they do. This one's basically an infinity hallway. The effect's better with the light off. Sometimes if the players are in like in a particularly dark area, like if we're doing a big fight at night or inside of a dungeon, then we'll actually have the lights off, the main lights off, and then we'll have these on, and then we've got lots of little random LED candles. We'll have those thrown about for extra light, and the players will play with some of our glow in the dark dice. We've got a few sets over there. And then sometimes it'll help with the immersion if things are supposed to be dark and spooky. My sister painted this little camarage, basically a unicorn bunny. It's a creature native to Chult. Tropical artwork. Some of this is a bit of a mess. We've got a lot of extra stuff here from other campaigns and things. My sister is running Curse of Strahd. It's like a Victorian horror themed one. We got a lot of this stuff in here, this special edition coffin. When she gets time off from school, we play that one for a little while so I can take a break from DMing. We get all of this switched around into like more of a Victorian horror feel. So got some books here: Dungeon Master's Guide, Monster Manual, Treacherous Traps, Xanathar's Guide to Everything, Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and Player's Handbook. I think I might have a few more books scattered about here and there. The Player's Handbook is obviously the one we use the most. You can see we've got some worn out sticky note tabs, like mark spots. I need to replace those. Tasha's Cauldron and Xanathar's, they're like expansion books, like extra subclasses, new spells, things like that. I wasn't very impressed with Treacherous Traps. I tend to just make my own traps. I like them better. Monster's Manual, Dungeon Master's Guide, very useful if you're a DM, especially if you don't like to homebrew. You can get by without them if you don't want them. I'd say the Player's Handbook is the only one that you absolutely must have in order to play the game, because it has all of the rules of play in it. So, more decorations. There are dinosaurs in Chult, so try to incorporate that into the decor. They've been running into pirates along the coastlines, and so I've got this up here. These are from the original Tomb of Annihilation plotline. I very much homebrewed what their purpose is in my campaign, though, so I'll talk about it a little bit. It won't be like spoilers or anything. But in the official Tomb of Annihilation adventure, you find all these towards the end of the game, all scattered about in an abandoned city. I won't say any more than that, but in mine I hid them like all throughout the jungle and like different temples and hidden locations and things for them to find. I worried that that would get a little bit tedious, so to speed it up, they had a few rivals earlier in the campaign who were also trying to gather these before they did. And when they defeated those rivals, they got to get the cubes that their rivals had collected. But yeah, each of these represents one of 9 trickster gods. In my campaign, which again is very different, they created a powerful artifact long ago, and collecting all of these leads to that artifact. Let's see if I can turn these over quietly and carefully. So they did not know this when they first started collecting these, but if you'll notice, there's like cracks and things that were etched in there. Give them kind of more of like an artifact feel, but there's actually a purpose for it if you turn them around and align the cracks just so. I don't know if this looks familiar to you or not, so let me give you a hint. Here is an image of the peninsula of Chult, where they've been searching all over. And then here are the cracks on the back of these puzzle cubes all aligned. If you'll notice, I've got a little X marked down here. That's where I moved the final location for my version of the game. So they had to get all of these to get to the final temple where the ancient artifact has been hidden. What else have we got here? One time they had a run-in with some pirates and really irritated them, so I made this. Got a little Jolly Roger seal there. See if I can open this up one-handed. And when I opened it up, I just had a black spot in there to let them know that they had made an enemy of the pirates, and the pirates knew who they were, that they were coming for them. I really like to give foreshadowing in my games. I've got a little collection of Game Master boards here. Let me see if I can quietly pull these out and show them off a little bit. I like to have different screens available for different types of scenarios. I really like having visuals available to immerse the players. I mean, obviously, that's what I've got going on in this whole room here. Just really give the imagination a gentle push to get things started, and then hopefully their imaginations will take over from there, and they'll visualize the world that I'm trying to create with them. So like I said earlier, we've been playing Curse of Strahd when my sister has time to run it, so I can have a chance to be a player. This is the Game Master board from Curse of Strahd. I don't know if I'll be able to open these one-handed. Let's see if I can just kind of halfway set you guys down for a second. I do apologize. Yeah. Oh, man. I hope that wasn't too noisy. I really don't want to do another take. Okay. Let's see here. Minor spoiler. If you play Curse of Strahd, don't go in the abandoned windmill right away. Level up like as many times as possible. Again, minor spoiler, but I might be saving you guys from a TPK there, so well. There's Castle Ravenloft. And, I've been using this one some, even for this campaign. If the players are like going to be out at sea for a while, then I'll bust this one out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fold all of them out. I might just try and show them off as best I can. This one looks to be Lovecraftian horror. I'll sometimes bust this one out if we're doing like something really dark, like they're investigating some kind of mystery or something. It's like a cult doing horrible things that they have to stop. Very, very dark, spooky imagery. We're nearly wrapped up with Tomb of Annihilation. Once we do, we're going to move to Wild Beyond the Witchlight. This is the next one that I'm running. I think I've got the book off in my room. I've been reading up on it. This one's a very classic fairy tale adventure. And of course, like most classic fairy tales, Wizard of Oz, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the antagonist is a witch. A very classic trope. Another kind of horror-themed one. It's just a spooky library. Some eldritch symbols on these books. This is just the classic Game Master screen. This is the one that you can like pick up at virtually any like card shop or bookstore, but I didn't like using it over and over and over again, regardless of settings, since we've got a little collection going for different types of backgrounds. I'd like to have even more. So yeah, I think that's about it. I should maybe quit while I'm ahead before a sudden loud noise comes in and ruins it. So yeah, I'll see if I can get another video in for you guys soon. I appreciate you watching. I haven't really had the time to do anything on par with my old role plays, but maybe I could like throw something simple together, like me helping you guys make a D&D character, for instance, would be a pretty easy role play to throw together. So let me know if anything like that would interest you, and I hope you guys have a great night.